it's me, Edwina. I'm back. It's been a while since I filmed, but I was going through some of our channel videos from so many years of filming, and I realized that we kind of go back and forth about how we feel about using certain free websites and then using agencies. So I wanted to use this video today to talk about what or when you should use an agency versus when you should not use an agency. And it really comes down to your type of personality, your financial situation, and the things that you're looking for in a family. So first, to start off, just based on the process, to get this out of the way, there are two ways to find a host family when you're trying to be an au pair. And that is for Anglophones coming to Europe, because sometimes if you're an au pair, for example, who wants to go to the United States, it's actually required to go through an agency, whereas vice versa, to go to Europe, it's not required. So you have the option of going through a free website first and foremost. And a free website would be, you make your profile, you put in all of your information, what you're looking for. The family does the same thing. Sometimes the family has to pay to be on the website, but the au pair does not. And you match up and you go through the visa process as well, all by yourself. And then if you need kind of like an extra supplement, you can go through Au Pair coaching through our website to help you guys with the visa process. But that's pretty much the most or the least expensive option. Second option is to go through an agency. There are a number of them, and some of them are smaller than others, like they're very specific to the place that you live in, for example. Sometimes au pair agencies only work with like the Pacific Northwest of the United States, who for au pairs who want to go to Europe. So you have to determine, usually by Google search or by finding a flyer or someone that you know, what agency is best for you, and you can go through the entire process with them. Your hand is held. They'll match you up with the family. They'll teach you how to do certain things and answer whatever question you have and help you that way. So those are your two options. So first, let's talk about not going through an agency. The first point as to when you should not go through an agency is that you are the type of person who is looking for a very, very, very specific situation or location. So say I was thinking about being an au pair and I really wanted to be in Paris, really wanted to be live out, really wanted to have 2 kids exactly, really wanted to be paid a certain amount, and I wasn't willing to be flexible about any single one of those choices. I would not go through an agency, because part of the deal with going through an agency is that you're looking more for an exchange, and you're more flexible and willing to give up your choices to have your agency give you the best possible match for your personality and for your cultural exchange. But if you're really just looking for kind of the type of experience where you're not looking to bend at all, you really want to live in a certain place, etc., etc., I wouldn't put an agency, honestly, through that, because it's going to be harder for the agency to find a match for you, because they don't want to disappoint you either. And if you're very, very specific, that makes everyone's situation harder. So you might as well go through that challenge and searching for a family on your own. That way you don't disappoint anyone and you can do whatever you want, really. Second reason to go not through an agency, based on your personality, is that you are a very, very independent type of person. Finding a family on your own and going through the visa process requires a lot of patience, requires a lot of research, and if you have no one there holding your hand through that process, you have to be ready to go through the effort to come out on the other side. So if you consider yourself to be very independent and super, super motivated to go through all of those things, don't go through an agency then, because you can find all this information online. That's one of the reasons why we started Au Pair, was so that you guys could have more of this information. Just know that it takes a lot of effort, but if you're willing to put in the effort, why not just go through the process on your own? A third reason not to go through an agency would be because you're not worried at all about having to go through a rematch. The thing about that is that if you go through rematch, the agency will put you through a rematch. Whereas sometimes if you have a horror story that happens and you didn't go through an agency, it can be difficult to get on your feet, because if you have no money and you don't have a place to live, your host family kicks you out or something like that, let's say like the worst case scenario happens, it's going to be really hard for you if you have no one helping you. But if you have financial backing and you can put yourself up in a hotel or a hostel for a couple weeks while you look for a new family, and you can afford to just live on whatever money you have in savings or whatever money you have gifted to you, then you don't have to worry about going through rematch without having any type of resource to help you abroad. Okay, so let's move on to why you should go through an agency based on your personality and situation. So to counteract the point I just made about being independent, if you consider yourself not very independent and you're really, really, really worried about what would happen in a rematch situation, you really want some sort of safety net, you don't have any sort of financial backing to put you up in a hotel or whatever it may be, then I would maybe think about going through an agency, just because that is probably one of the biggest benefits of having this support system, is that if anything happens, they will help you through it. They'll give you accommodation or give you a new family right away and listen to you and help take your side and help you figure out the best decision and best way to move forward. And you don't have that when you go through something independently. You have yourself to talk to, you have your family at home to talk to and your friends, but they might not be able to understand fully the situation, just because naturally being an au pair is just a really weird situation, as we've obviously talked about on this channel many, many times before. Second reason is if you have the type of personality where you don't feel like you can advocate for yourself, and that is not something to be ashamed of. Talking about how much money you should get paid, how much time you should be working, not being paid for your overtime, and all of these difficult topics, being reimbursed for, you know, the metro tickets that you paid for your kids. These are things that your agency can help advocate for you and talk to your host family. That's something that I wish that I had when I did go through an agency, just because having those conversations as an 18, 19-year-old, or even as like a 26-year-old is super, super difficult. So having someone there to coach you through those moments is really nice. So that's another reason to go through an agency. Third reason would be because you're trying to convince your parents. We get a lot of questions from all of y'all au pairs who are trying to convince your parents to let you go abroad. And if I were to put myself in my mom and dad's shoes when I decided to go to France when I was 19, I don't know how they did it. Luckily, they've been very independent very hands-off parents pretty much my whole life, but they were definitely nervous, and I talk to them now and they tell me about how nervous they were of me going abroad, but they knew that they couldn't stop me. But if I know that there are certain types of parents out there that are not as hands-free as my parents, so if you're looking to try to convince your parents about going abroad, becoming an au pair, go through an agency, because it's definitely a surefire way to put them at ease, knowing that you have someone to fall back on, knowing there's someone that they can talk to as well if you're abroad, who they can ask questions to about the process and about everything that happens as an au pair. So definitely one of the best reasons and best ways to convince your actual family to let you live with your host family. To close this whole video off, I know from experience that when you're going through the au pair experience and looking for a family, you have this idea in your head of what you're looking for and where you want to live and all of those things, and you don't want to pay an agency not knowing what kind of family that they're going to match you up with. It's really a very, very difficult decision, which is why we try to be as transparent as possible in these videos. This is why, as many of you know, we work with an au pair agency called Au Pair Butterfly, for those of you who are thinking about going through an agency. We're not saying that this is the surefire option to go through, but if you decide to go and take this option, we recommend Butterfly, because with this agency you can look through all of their families for free and see all of the different ones and go through the process of talking with the family on your own. They don't just put you with the family. It's you who makes the decision. They empower you to make that decision and look through all of your options before paying their agency fee, which is very, very affordable. And if you are an APOP au pair and you watch our videos, you can actually get a discount on their agency fee just by mentioning that you found them through us. So make sure that you mention our name when you go through the whole process. And it can open up some options of looking for families if you're not if you're still looking on free websites and you want to open up a new door of finding some other families that you might not have found on those free websites. So yeah, check it out, and that is pretty much all I have to say on this topic. If you have an extra opinion, put it down below. Make sure you like this video, it really helps us out. Give us a big thumbs up and subscribe and do all the things. We will see you in the next video. Ciao for now, bye!